The Hulk is one of Marvel's most popular and beloved characters, and I believe that he's one of the biggest failures in the MCU, and so this is the way I would fix the Hulk and restore the reputation to this great character. What's up guys, welcome back to Superhero Legacy. My name is Liam, and in today's video I want to talk about one of my personal favorite characters from the comics, and that is of course the Incredible Hulk. Now what I wanted to do is address some of the concerns and issues that I have with the MCU Hulk, and then some of the possible future solutions that they could do to fix this problem. Now I think there are two primary issues with the Hulk in the MCU. One deals with the character of the Hulk, and the other one deals with the character of Bruce Banner. The first of the two issues that I have with the Incredible Hulk deals with the actual Hulk side of the character, his physicality, his power set, all of that stuff. It's obvious that this character has been significantly nerfed from the comics, which makes sense because everything in the comics is just over exaggerated and inflated to ridiculous levels, and so the point of the movies is to try to make things even a little bit more realistic for people to digest. But the Hulk in the MCU has been more than just nerfed. He's been incredibly disserviced. I think that the MCU has been looking at the Hulk through the wrong lens, and instead of looking at him as potential of his own character, they've been looking at him as an opportunity to prove and show to the audience how powerful another character is. We saw that with Thor, and then we saw that again with Thanos, and that whole trope doesn't even work very well if we've never been shown the true power of the Incredible Hulk. And that's the main problem I have with this character, because this is a being who has unrivaled, unparalleled physical strength. This is a character with the power of infinite strength, which I believe a lot of people don't completely recognize and acknowledge the true extent of. In terms of physical power, Hulk is the strongest there is, and we've been shown no evidence that that is the case in the MCU. We start with the Incredible Hulk movie, which delivered us some of the best action that we've seen from this character, and I think is the closest, most accurate representation of this character. But that came out in 2008, and we haven't seen him in that light ever again. And then we got Avengers, which dropped in 2012, and this was an incredible movie, and I still think that it gave a pretty good representation of the Hulk with some of the most iconic moments in that final action scene. But everything started to dip in Age of Ultron, because in Age of Ultron, although we got that amazing action scene with the Hulkbuster, which I enjoyed a lot, he kind of vanished during the final act of that film until you get to the very end. Then I don't even want to talk about what they did with this character in Infinity War or in Endgame, making him a coward and giving us another version of this character that we didn't need. I keep telling people that the MCU should have just focused on the Incredible Hulk, the original character, before getting into any variants or versions that belong with him, such as She-Hulk, such as Professor Hulk. I think it's important to give the right service and justice to the original character before getting into any of the other stuff. This character needs to be developed and fleshed out. Then we can get to some other versions of the Incredible Hulk. One of my favorites is Maestro. I hope that we get to see Maestro one day, but I don't want him coming into the MCU anytime soon because we haven't been given a real Hulk. And then the final thing I want to discuss here is the actual design of this character. Now, I believe that the Incredible Hulk movie in 2008 was a better design for the Hulk than what we got afterwards. I think that having him be a little bit bigger, a little bit taller, seeing all the muscle fibers and veins coming off of him was really an interesting take on this character. It really shows his power and strength a little bit more, and it's better than just having Mark Ruffalo's face but green on the Incredible Hulk. Another thing that I really want to see in the MCU for this character is seeing him physically growing in size, doing something that shows us that he is getting stronger, because that's one of the key features of this character. Yes, at baseline even, this character is very strong. However, he has the capability of getting infinitely stronger, and we've never seen that yet. Whether that's him getting angrier and then seeing him grow physically in size, or if he gets really angry, you can see the gamma radiation coming off of him, and that would be really cool to see. Now, the second issue that I have with this character in the MCU is that we never get to explore his character. We never get to see his tragic past or see his internal struggles or what makes him tick as a person. I think a lot of people don't give the character of Bruce Banner without the Incredible Hulk the appreciation that he really deserves. For me, the Hulk is a sad character, full of tragedy, full of pain, hurt, loss. He's always on the run. His life is about sacrifice, and the internal struggles that this character has to experience on a daily basis is truly heartbreaking. And once people understand this perspective of the character, they can truly understand, recognize, and get more out of the Hulk side of this character, because the Hulk is a physical manifestation of all the negative emotions that are going on in Bruce Banner's head. all of the abuse that he got from his father, all of the people who just want to weaponize his power, all of this makes you emotionally connected with this character, makes him resonate with you a little bit more, it makes you feel his pain, it makes you understand what he's gone through and the loss and tragedy within this character. Stan Lee created the Hulk and I love what he did with him, but I don't think it's until you get to the Peter David run on this character where you truly get to discover who he is and what drives him. We desperately need some of the character development that Peter David injected into this character, and we need to see some of his work coming onto the big screen. I think this is the key to making people invest in the character in the MCU. Since we've never seen this side of the Hulk in the MCU, that's a big chunk of this character that we are missing. And this is the stuff that will make him truly stand out as a character and will make us be more attached to him. I think Edward Norton was the better actor to play the Incredible Hulk because I think that he could really show that loneliness, that sadness, the tragedy of this character a lot more than Mark Ruffalo can. Now, I'm not saying Mark Ruffalo is a bad actor, and I think that he can pull it off, but I do think that Edward Norton really not only embodies and looks like the character of Bruce Banner, but I think he can really pull that melancholic and hurt person. Now, I understand that a lot of these issues come from the fact that it's been very tricky to get a standalone solo Hulk movie because of all the studio interferences and the rights and all of that. I get it. But if everyone works together and gives the audience what they want, what they need, then I can promise you that it not only will make a lot of money in the box office, but even greater, it will restore the reputation to this great character and allow people to see him as I truly do. I believe that if we get some Hulk-centered projects in the MCU, the best way to fix this character is to tackle the issue on both ends. That is, give us a proper representation of the Hulk's true power and give us a deep character dive into Bruce Banner. I think that this can be done by giving us the Planet Hulk story, which then leads into the World War Hulk event. I have the World War Hulk omnibus right here. I've read the entire story, and while it's not my favorite Hulk story or one of my favorite Marvel events, I do respect and appreciate it for giving us a clear definition of Hulk's power. Whenever anyone references the most powerful version of this character or wants to discuss the true strength potential of him, they always think of World War Hulk. So now I'm going to talk some spoilers about the Planet Hulk and World War Hulk comics, so if you haven't read them and want to, go check those out and then come back to this video. So the Planet Hulk story starts when the Illuminati gets together and they decide that it's the right idea and it's for the planet's best interest to shoot the Hulk into space without giving him any say in it or not knowing exactly where he's going to land. He eventually lands on a planet called Sakaar and is pretty much dumped into slavery. He suffered through lots of torture and physical abuse. However, the thing that hurt him the most was knowing that his seemingly before friends had betrayed him. He was thrown into this gladiator type of lifestyle where he had to fight his way to the top and eventually become king of this planet. He started making a life for himself on this planet. He wanted to start over. He fell in love with a girl named Kyera, eventually had a kid with her, and had all of these loyal people by his side. Then one tragic day, the ship that he arrived in suddenly exploded and killed a lot of people along with his wife and unborn child. With an unbelievable amount of rage at this point, he turned to revenge and traveled all the way back to Earth to unleash his wrath on the superhero community. This dude was nigh unstoppable. Nobody could put this man down. At this immense level of rage, he was unstoppable. Yo, remember at the beginning of that story where Hulk lands on the moon to get his revenge on Black Bolt, and Black Bolt whispers in his ear, but then the Hulk gets up and is like, dude, I'm not here to hear you whisper. I want to hear you scream. Oh, that was one of the most epic badass lines in the entire story. He travels to Earth and decimates the Hulkbuster suit. He then proceeds with ease to take out the Fantastic Four along with Storm and Black Panther. He destroys She-Hulk, Ares, and a bunch of other heavy hitters from Marvel and then proceeds to go onto the X-Men and obliterate all the X-Men. Yo, Beast, Nightcrawler, Cyclops, Professor X, Jean Grey, Kitty Pryde, Juggernaut, even Wolverine, dude. The whole 9 yards, all of the X-Men show up and one by one they just get pounded and pummeled to the ground. Even Doctor Strange shows up and his magic proves to be ineffectual because at this point the Hulk is so angry that it's just created this mental block and now he's just purely driven by rage. He breaks his hands and then proceeds to throw everyone in this giant gladiator prison and make them fight to the death. Eventually, it's up to one man to stop him, and this character is none other than the Sentry. Now, I love the Sentry as a character. I think he's amazing, but a lot of people see him as the Superman ripoff. I do think he is just as strong as a character, maybe even better as a character than Superman. I'm not going to sit here and talk about the Sentry because this is a Hulk video. Maybe I'll do a video on him in the future. However, all you need to know is that the Sentry and the Hulk had a battle for the ages. These two titans were smashing and hitting to the maxes and with every shred of power in them. Eventually, these two fought until they were physically exhausted and they had nothing more to give. They both just resorted back to their original forms. The Hulk went back into Bruce Banner and then the Sentry fell back into just Robert Reynolds. But I know a lot of people are asking, well, if the MCU does World War Hulk, would they bring in the Sentry? And I think if the MCU wanted to build up to the World War Hulk movie, yes, they could totally do the Sentry. I hear that they're going to bring him into the Thunderbolts. I'm curious to see how that is going to play out. But I'd love to see the Worldbreaker Hulk and the Sentry fight in this storyline. But if the MCU was looking for a more immediate solution to the problems of the Hulk in the MCU, which I think they definitely need to approach it like that, then I think that the Sentry needs to be swapped out for Thunderbolt Ross, also known as Red Hulk. I love Red Hulk as a character. I love his origins and what they did with him in the comics. He's basically a version of the Hulk who, instead of infinitely getting stronger, he just gets infinitely hotter. And I think that's really cool. And of course, it's Thunderbolt Ross, the main antagonist to this character. But everyone knows that the Red Hulk is no match for Worldbreaker Hulk. Worldbreaker Hulk would completely annihilate him with ease. But I think he will serve as the character the story really needs him to be, and will give us a movie with a boss fight, a complete brawl between these two pretty strong, powerful characters. And that's what people really want from this character, and probably part of the reason why World War Hulk was so successful. And one of the reasons I really didn't like it as a story is because I saw it as a lot of nonsensical violence. World War Hulk as a standalone story doesn't really have any substance. It doesn't add to any character development. It's just a big summer blockbuster where you can just turn off your brain and have a lot of fun. And while I don't read comics for that, I read comics for the stories, the characters, I think that a World War Hulk movie would succeed with flying colors. Because with today's technology, you can do a really visually appealing World War Hulk movie. You can see this amazing action. You can have these awesome CGI'd characters fight to the death. It's everything you really want to see in an action movie. And while I think that a World War Hulk movie can truly show us the real power and strength behind this character and really restore him on a power level stance, I do think that adding a Planet Hulk story before this, leading up to World War Hulk, is critical and serves as a way to improve Bruce Banner and dive into his character. Now, I know that Thor Ragnarok loosely developed Planet Hulk because they went to Sakaar and had that whole Gladiator Contest of Champions thing. However, it wasn't truly Planet Hulk to me because it didn't have that emotional investment in the Hulk because it was a Thor movie and because it didn't lead to anything else. I wouldn't try to adapt the Planet Hulk storyline again because they partly did that with Thor Ragnarok, but because I have a different idea of how they could do it. I enjoyed the Planet Hulk comic a little bit more than World War Hulk because Planet Hulk really dived into the character, bringing him back to the roots. We see his loss, his tragedy, him working from the ground up. It really lets us see inside this character and truly know and understand who he is. It also gave us a reason at the end of the story for him to be angry, because World War Hulk on its own is just Hulk going through the entire planet Earth and wreaking havoc through all of it. I think Planet Hulk's ideas, concepts, and what it led up to is more important than the actual story itself. So what I would do is take Thunderbolt Ross, turn him into Red Hulk, and then let him be the source of the Hulk's anger leading up to World War Hulk. Thunderbolt Ross is genuinely an evil character who cares nothing about the actual person of Bruce Banner, but just cares about the weaponizing concept of the Hulk's power. And I think that they can pretty easily make Thunderbolt Ross ruin the life of Bruce Banner and attack him from a more personal and intimate angle. His physical power as Red Hulk serves as a pretty decent challenge for him. We can bring back Betty Ross and he can threaten her. This is truly a character who can attack the legacy and the reputation of the Hulk, and that's what makes him dangerous. The Red Hulk can wreak havoc and cause physical destruction, but he can also show off his villainous nature and really go after the character of Bruce Banner and what he loves. I think Thunderbolt Ross can effectively be the trigger to the Hulk's incomparable rage as Worldbreaker Hulk. I think he can toy with him and get him to that level where we see World War Hulk as an event in the movies. And then we can get that awesome, satisfying action that we're all craving to see. This is how I would fix the Incredible Hulk in the MCU, and I know it banks off of the Hulk getting his own solo projects, but I think this would serve as a great way to invest in the character of Hulk on an emotional standpoint and can give us the opportunity to fully explore and lean into the more dark and sorrowful elements of the Hulk that we've never been able to see so far, and we know that are the most accurate to the comic books. I think going forward, this can also be a tool, because if they set up the Hulk in this way and let us show us the true strength of this character, then they can more effectively do the trope that they've always been trying to do. Imagine if the Hulk was built up to this level, to be this powerful, and then Thanos comes and mops the floor with him. That would hit a lot harder than what he did in Infinity War, because in Infinity War and in Ragnarok, what they did with Thor, they're just relying on the reputation of the character, and we all know that just relying purely on reputation of the character is not going to last in the long run. I love this character dearly, and I want nothing more than people to see him as I do. He's been a main issue in the MCU for me and for a lot of you, I know. And Marvel is usually pretty good with their feedback, taking things in, listening, and then improving. But everything that they've done with the Hulk in the MCU has just been digging him in a deeper and deeper hole that's just going to make it harder to get out of. I have no idea what they're doing with him, and now in She-Hulk he was doing things. We saw Scar, which I'm not even going to talk about, but there's no denying the fact that we need a solution to this problem. We need to fix and restore the reputation to the Hulk, because I love him and he deserves it. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. Please like and subscribe for more superhero content, and share your thoughts on the MCU Hulk and my way of fixing him down in the comments below. You can find my first video right over here, and also be sure to follow me on Instagram and TikTok for more content and updates. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and stay super.